The 12 Sports Team presents your Friday Night Overtime.
Hey, it may be Friday night overtime, but the Section 4 schedule was so packed, it needed 3 days of coverage to fit it all in. And let's get right to it as we kick off a trio of games that started across the tier on Thursday evening. The Wolverines hosted Binghamton, the defending Class C champs, starting this one off with the safety, and then on the kick return, Colson Keithley slipping past the defense and not looking back. Keithley makes his way all the way down the field. He takes it the distance. That goes in for 6. And a 9-point lead just 1 minute in for the Wolverines. Ben Shaw taking the snap here. He looks to his Husky UConn commit, Xavier Watson. The catch back in the end zone. He's looking good, and so are the Wolverines. They're up 16 at that point. Waverly not stopping. Another kick return, this time Dalton Davis going up the side. No one will catch him. Waverly extending the lead, and then a minute to go in the first quarter. The handoff to Cooper Robinson, right up the gut. That's good for 6. Waverly up 57-0. They cruise past the Patriots.
To Lansing for a non-conference matchup to start off. Valley quarterback Matthew Kopko, who actually got a school record in this one for passing yards. He gets the bomb to Jesse Fryer, who does the rest of the work down the sideline and sprints to the end zone. The Sabres take an early 14-0 lead in the first quarter. Lansing would get a look to the offense, get going on third down, but Michael McCracken with a tackle for loss to force a punt for the Bobcats. The Sabres would take full advantage, driving down the field as Kopko finds Aiden Howard for the third consecutive drive for a touchdown for the team, all Susquehanna Valley, to start the game. In the second quarter, Bobcats, Dosh Benson gets a handoff just outside the 10. He would do the rest of the work for the first down of the game for the Bobcats. The game was 42-36, Sabres.
A defensive battle in Whitney Point. Eagles trying to execute the reverse. Oneonta shutting it down and keeping Whitney Point out of the end zone before half. Yellow Jackets doing the same, keeping the Eagles off the board in the second half. Ethan Harrington with the blocked field goal. Then Riley Waltz sniffing out the screen pass here. He is all over it and all over Samuel Nichols, dropping him in the backfield. But the Whitney Point's defense would answer the call as well. Yellow Jackets driving in the third. Chase Jarvis rolling out. Mason Baxter hot on his tail. He picks up the sack. And a couple plays later, Grayson Brockington now under center. He tries to find Marshall Mahal at the goal line. Dylan Whitney says, Whitney Point gets the defensive battle win in the low-scoring affair. Eagles over the Yellow Jackets 9-8. And Ithaca bouncing back after a week 1 loss to Vestal. They defeat Oswego on the road 48-0. They will move on to Mexico next week.
Tabasha Hancock had its first home game of the season against Oxford Academy, and the Eagles take full control, winning 49-0. Blackhawks get their first loss of the season at home.
Bainbridge Guilford hosting Walton in a non-league matchup. Both squads coming off a week 0 win. This game all Bobcats as they defeat the Warriors 34-14.
Let's head to 8-man football where Green and Catskill played the Trojans with a huge win as they win the shutout against the Cats 48-0. And on Saturday, Moravia Blue Devils travel to Pembroke Dragons for their matchup. That kickoff is set for 7 p.m.
And there will be 2 other games set for Saturday as well. Sydney and another 8-man game. We'll have all of those on our website as well. So make sure you head on to WBNG for all of that. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Oh, of course.
It was
you
a
think
fun
I'm going
night.
to miss it?
It's a fun night.
We're going to need some water after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us as well here at 11. I'm all thrown off. It was such a big night. Come back. 12 News will be here tomorrow, 6 o'clock. 10 o'clock, because there is some college football. And, of course, Southern Tier kickoff in the morning. Be here, 11:30 a.m. I will be. Michael will be live in Cortland. We'll see you later. Have a great night.